So we're just going to thread the sewing machine, but first of all I'm going to show you what you've got in your kit. So these are for cutting fabric only, your fabric cutting scissors. So don't cut your pattern paper with these because you'll make them blunt. These are your paper scissors for cutting your pattern paper only. Then we have your thread cutters that will just cut the end of your thread like this. So these are for just using by the sewing machine and when you're pressing. Then we have your tailor's chalk, so you'll mark this around your pattern when you're doing seam allowance. Then we have your unpicker. You'll use this if you make a mistake with a stitch on the sewing machine. Then we have your pins that you're going to use to pin your pattern onto the fabric. Then we have a spool. This goes underneath the sewing machine and gets threaded underneath here, so I'll show you that now. And then we have your tape measure. So you'll use this to measure your body or measure the pattern or to add seam allowance. We have centimetres and inches on both sides. Okay, let's start with threading the sewing machine. So every sewing machine is the same procedure of threading. So you're going to get your spool and you're going to place that on here. You're going to get your thread and you're going to place that on here. So most machines you'll thread it like this way and then thread round. On this machine you go in over this little circle, making sure it catches this. And then you're going to wrap it round 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to push it in so it locks. There is a way where you can place the thread through the circle, but we're not going to do it that way. And then you're going to get your pedal and you're going to press. And this should be running. When it's full, it'll push it back. Then this we're going to just place underneath. Sometimes the spool is placed inside this bit on machines, but for this one we're just going to, it's at the top, but some machines it's underneath or the side, but it's the same procedure. Then there's a little loop underneath, you're going to pull it back, you're going to leave a long piece of thread and then get your clip and place it in. Then you're going to forget about the bottom for a minute, we're going to come back to the top, you're going to go down number 1, you're going to go up to number 2, there's like a silver little loop catch here, you want to make sure your thread goes between this, you're going to come round and pull it back and come down. Same on most sewing machines, you'll have like a 1, up, 2, come down. Then you're going to place it around the back, trim the thread and place it from the front to the back in the needle. And then pull it to the back. As you can see, a little needle hole there, you need to push it from the front to the back and then you will have 2 little threads here. This one is still trapped underneath, so we need to create a little loop that you're going to see under this bit and then pull it through. So to get the loop, you pull the wheel towards yourself like this and then back up. And you'll see a little loop underneath. So when you see this loop, you're going to get your unpicker, you can see it there, you're going to place it in between and pull it all the way back, and that pulls it out. Then you'll have your 2 threads at the back. Now you're ready to start sewing. So most machines will have this is your different stitch length, so you've got a zigzag stitch which you can use for hemming, or you can use if you've not got an overlocker, gives a tighter stitch. You've got a really tight stitch, another tight stitch, a loose stitch like this we'll use for gathering, and then these are for buttons and for buttonholes. Then you've got your tension, so we're going to start on number 6. Some machines the tension start from 0 is when you would use a big wide stitch for gathering. So you can just get a scrap piece of fabric, play with the tension so you can see the tension is always from the spool underneath. It's the stitch that's underneath the garment, and this one is for the stitch that's on top. So if there's ever any problems with the stitch underneath, that's because it's from the tension, and on top, if the stitch is a little bit loose, it's from this one. So now we're going to get the scrap piece of fabric and follow the lines on here, and then I can explain more about the tension. So I'm going to start on number 8 and practice a tight stitch. So you're going to place the foot down, drop your needle, and we're going to try and keep on this line so it's nice and straight. This is practicing for when you're on your real garment. Always at the beginning we're going to go 1, 2, 3 forward, and then for the back stitch you're going to press this button down, 1, 2, 3 back. So for the back stitch you'll see this on more modern sewing machines, there's like an electric button and you can just press it once, but for these pedal down ones you need to hold it back, 1, 2, 3, and that'll lock the stitch. So you do that at the beginning when you're starting sewing, forward 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3, and then you'll always do it at the end. Otherwise, if you don't, all the stitches will come loose. I can keep going till the end. Back 1, 2, 3, lift it up and pull your fabric back. So that's the normal stitch, which is the top thread, and the tension is underneath. So as you can see, the tension is okay. If it goes like a little bit loose or like curls over, that's when you know that this tension needs changing. See if we can show you on this one. 4. But every machine's different with the tension. So we're going to go back again. Forward 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3. And then keep pressing your pedal all the way down. Back 1, 2, 3. Pull it off, let's have a see. So 4 is also good. Let's take it higher to like 8. So you can see the different tension. Always do this on scrap material so you can see the difference between each thread. Forward 1, 2, 3, back 1, 2, 3. Keep going. Back 1, 2, 3. Now the tension's good on all of them. But you can play with the tension, play with the different stitches on your scrap piece of fabric so you can see the difference. And then I'm just going to take you to the iron. I want you to press the corners of each one and double fold it like a hem. If you've not got an overlocker, you can always do this. But we always press first so it's easier to sew. Because as you can see, if you fold like 1, 2 and then stitch, you're going to find it a little bit difficult. So we'll always press and then pin. So let's go to the iron. Okay, so now you're going to get the end of your fabric. You're going to fold it once and fold it twice and then press. So it becomes flat like this. You want it nice and flat so that you can stitch, and then do the other side. And then you're going to get your pins, and I want you to do this on your real garment as well. You're going to pin from this side like this. Always pin like this so it's easy to pull out on the sewing machine. So you're pressing and pinning so that everything stays nice and even, because we want to stitch on this line here. If you have a look at garments in your wardrobe for a hem, the stitching is going to be close on here. The same again on this side. So put your pin in, push it out, in, push it out, push it in, push it out. So you're going to have two sides like this with pins in. Now we're going to stitch just a normal stitch like this, but trying your best to keep it right on the edge. Let's go back to the sewing machine. So you're going to place this on. Drop your needle as close to the edge as you can, like this. Pull your pins as you go in so you don't snap your needle. And then you're going to go forward, 1, 2, 3, back, 1, 2, 3. Trying your best to keep as close to the edge as possible. Pull your pin. Remember, as much pressure as you put on the pedal is as fast as your needle's going to go, so just try and go nice and slow. Push. Back, 1, 2, 3 at the end. Pull back. You want to stay on the edge and as close as the edge as possible. It's okay if you come off because it's your first time of doing it, but just try your best to keep to the edge. So that's going to be a nice little hem. And then same again down this side.